What's going on, people? Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the page, as we're going to get into it because we talk about the things that they choose to want to ignore and not address. Adam Silver, whose contract is up next year, is in renegotiations to see if he's going to remain the commissioner of the NBA. A lot of people don't think he's going to keep that role, that they're going to bring in a CEO from Disney to oversee that position of NBA commissioner, which would be detrimentally damaging for someone of the stature of a LeBron James, who's used to David Stern and Adam Silver. And he has a great rapport with Adam. So this puts a dent in that armor. But let's address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is LeBron James being called out for EPO use by a credible person. Chael Sonnen is a former UFC fighter who's now a podcaster, and he does different events, but he's somebody in the sports world, and he claims him and LeBron has the same guy. He made that claim boldly. There was no call for a retraction. LeBron James never said a word about it. There doesn't appear to be a lawsuit filed. And ESPN, First Take, Fox Sports, Undisputed, nobody's talking about it. Why is that? The NBA isn't speaking out about it. I find that very strange. Because I agree with Ticket TV. LeBron got to sue. If a claim like that is made by a credible source, he didn't say allegedly, he didn't say I think, he says it definitely as if he knows that LeBron is taking EPO, which is a performance enhancing drug. That is what Chael Sonnen said, and it was met with no response from James, his team, the NBA, nothing. Everyone went radio silent and act as if they never heard it. Now, if they're going to try to act like, well, he is incredible, well, I beg to differ when he fought for titles and in the league. And the fact that he just mentioned it isn't the first time it's been brought up. Charles Barkley spoke about it 11 years ago when he said he would take a shot in the butt to play. He don't care. And you got all these players today playing longer, faster. It's a crazy world. And this has been going on for years in the league. Years. The accusations of athletes, period. And everyone's acting as if it don't matter or it never happened. Derrick Rose said it, and it went by like it was nothing. The league didn't respond to it pretty much or nothing. He says it's about a 7. That's the former MVP of the National Basketball Association saying that it was about a 7. Everyone's been talking about this for years, about the NBA having a very huge problem with PEDs and the way it's working. And they're trying to do their best efforts, what they claim, and monitoring it, but it's acting like it doesn't exist or it's not happening, and people are afraid to talk about it who's supposed to give information and they're omitting it, they have to get called out. Now, all of these athletes play about an average of 36 minutes. 35 to 36 minutes a game if you're a top player in the NBA. Top players in the NBA are averaging that many minutes. Right now, this season has been record pace, more laps than you can ever imagine. An NBA game is like running 10 laps. So you're running 10 full laps. Okay? You're putting in some miles per game as far as running back and forth up and down the court. You're putting in about over 2 miles throughout the entire game. So now you putting in these kind of miles. I know these like Baja miles, but you putting in these miles with all these minutes. And of course, technology is here. And of course, technology is also in some of these ingredients they take for your muscles and everything else. So things have different names. Right. 2.5 miles is 10 laps. So, yeah, about that many miles. Up and down the court, it does not stop. So, why isn't ESPN or anybody on their networks, on their other shows, really covering it? It's because ESPN is owned by Disney. Disney can't make it look like the biggest star that they marketing someone is saying something about. And there's no response. So their whole attitude is act like nothing. Then there's flight. Then there's guys that sleep in the aisle on the floor of the airplanes because they don't like the airplane seats, or they leg need rest and they need leg room. So they have to stretch all the way out on the floor because they're so tall. And this happens on a plane. Some guys would lay on the floor with their earphones on, sleep, and put their head on one of their bags, and they go right to sleep. They use the airplane blanket, and they'll lay right on the floor. I've seen it happen. All this travel is wear and tear on the body. Then they use cryotherapy to recover their bodies. They use all these techniques to try to keep themselves in the loop, and guys are still having problems with performing. George Karl called out these players right after he was fired in 2016 from the Sacramento Kings. Actually brought up the fact that people were going overseas to Germany, so everybody thought he was talking about Kobe Bryant at the time, which he said, no, no, no. Like, Kobe wasn't the only guy that went to Germany. But Kobe he only took plasma therapy, which was platelet rich plasma therapy. Now, he probably felt some kind of way because Kobe kept beating him in all these things and putting up performances on him. But he was like, he's talking about PEDs like steroids, HGH, and so on. He said, it's obvious some of our players are doping. How are some guys getting older, yet thinner and fitter? How are they recovering from injury so fast? What the hell are they going to Germany in the off season? I doubt it's for sauerkraut. More likely, it's for the newest, hard to detect blood boosters and PEDs they have in Europe. Now, this is what he was saying when he spoke to Dan Feldman. And he had a book called Furious George. Now, Kenyon Martin Sr. called him out. And it was like, he is a bitter old man. Like nobody likes that guy. Like everybody that played for that awful person and coach can't stand the ground he walks on. And now he coached for 27 years in the NBA with 6 different organizations. He's most recently was the coach of the Kings, as I told you before. He was fired after the 2015-2016 season. They was 33 and 49. Carl hasn't been back since. He's not been back around the NBA. And that was that. That book angered Adam Silver, and a lot of other people were quite angered that someone who's a senior of this game coached against Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals would now be someone they loathe because he spoke out of school, and so to speak, because he put it in a book. And when you do that, it's, you're gambling. Because these people don't want anything coming out about them. They don't want anything coming out that's news. So why didn't Fox cover it? We know why ESPN and what their angle in. Why is Fox not covering it? Because they probably been told, don't touch it. If you ever want to have anything to do with the NBA and the games and facing a lawsuit, they probably got told that you don't want to be named in this. Because when it comes down, it's going to come down, and they don't want to have anything to do with it. Or they've been told, like, don't touch it. Leave it alone. But I find that quite interesting that the number one athlete in the sports is called out by another athlete that's in another sport and say they have the same guy. How isn't that story worthy? No one tricked him into asking the question. He literally volunteered that answer on his own. So, is discrediting the person the way to go? All right, well, let's see if there is a doping problem in the league.
In 2019, 3 players tested positive for using banned substances. DeAndre Ayton tested positive for using diuretics. Wilson Chandler, who played for the Nets, tested positive for ipamorelin, a growth hormone. John Collins tested positive for growth hormone as well. In 2018, Jody Meeks tested positive for ipamorelin, the same growth hormone Wilson Chandler used. In 2017, Joakim Noah tested positive for Ligandrol, a designer drug used to mimic the effects of steroids to increase lean muscle mass faster. In 2013, Hito Turkoglu tested positive for methanolone, an anabolic steroid. In 2011, OJ Mayo tested positive for DHEA, a growth hormone that boosts testosterone production, slows down the natural changes in the body that come with aging, and helps build muscle tissue. In 2016, he was dismissed and disqualified from the NBA for using another banned substance. In 2009, Rashard Lewis tested positive for DHEA. The proof is in the pudding, guys. NBA players are using PEDs despite the fact there have been technological advances in recovery and the myth it wouldn't help basketball players. With the amount of work these players are putting their bodies through, they can't do it if they don't have a drug protocol. And if you guys are finding this video interesting so far, make sure to smash the like button so YouTube recommends this video to more people. Help me make that YouTube money, baby.
Yeah. So It's strange that once LeBron James got to Cleveland, everything was everything. He's a phenom athlete, young. But after losing to the Dallas Mavericks, when they made the big three and he made the jump, and in the big three, and he, you know, didn't make it to where they thought he was going to go. I remember there was the girl, Jessica, that worked at the Biogenesis lab. And that incident came up in 2013 after LeBron James started winning championships. Yep. And right when he's getting ready to win his second NBA championship, the story started to break. This story brought down A Rod and a lot of other people. Let's listen.
Story about an employee named Jessica who worked for a health clinic just outside of Miami called Biogenesis of America. The founder, a man by the name of Anthony Bosch, infamously known for supplying PEDs to stop baseball players such as A-Rod, Milwaukee Brewers outfielder Ryan Braun, and a handful of others connected to the Biogenesis scandal in 2013. Jessica worked as an assistant for Bosch and kept track of pretty much every financial transfer at the clinic. While keeping track of these financial transfers, one of the initials that stood out to her were LJ, who she claimed to believe was LeBron James. Jessica said that a man by the name Mr. Paul came in every month, once a month, to pick up products for the initials LJ. As for what those products were, Jessica didn't know. However, she did say that Mr. Paul was a friend of LJ's, and coincidentally enough, LeBron's best friend and agent's name is Rich Paul. There's no confirmation that Mr. Paul was in fact Rich Paul, but Jessica said some of her coworkers were 100% sure that LeBron was a client of the clinic and was the person with the initials LJ. The other initials that stood out to her were JN, and confirmed that JN was former Orlando Magic point guard Jameer Nelson. She said Jameer came to the clinic in person, picked up his products, and paid in cash for them. So, is there a problem with players using PEDs and steroids in the NBA?
Is there a problem? Is this a problem for you? If the players in the league are taking these drugs, is that a problem? Do you have a problem with it? Do you think it alters the game? What do you think? I tell you, well, who don't like it is people that's got to bet on the games, because now they got a tranked up horse, and it's not an even playing field. So you have guys that are very upset and feel as if they've been, bamboozled or led astray. Well, the world is a very, different place. And when you have people that don't seem to get or understand the process of what's going on out here in the world for real, then, you're facing an uphill battle. There's so many millions and millions of dollars that's behind LeBron James, hundreds of millions of him they making off of his back. The fact that that guy is not able to be on the court, the NBA is losing. The gameplay is great and we're liking it, but they marketed this guy. They put all their money into him and now he's on the lam. So a lot of people who got their money vested in LeBron is like, hey, why are we investing our money into this guy and he plays half a season? What's going on here? Everybody gets injured, but you know, this guy seems to always get injured now and it seems to be over. Let's like end this and move on to who's the number two guy. Let's get him up and running. But you can't seem to get that. So they're dragging a team. They're making such an unbalanced trade. For them to get D'Lo, Vanderbilt, and Beasley, that was almost criminal for that trade. For like, who in the world is completing a trade like that? Unless there's illegal compensation that is going to be made at a later date and time because the league wants to help LeBron get to the next level. So let's do a quick button up, and we should be good enough so we can get to the play in. And hopefully, no one will notice and they'll think it's business as usual. Yep. So that's the way it's going down, kids. It's a whole new world. Now, Adam Silver is upset because it's being brought up. Now, the media can't ask Adam Silver about it unless it's the beginning of the year and if it's a big thing and the question has been approved, so you can run it by Adam Silver. Now, Adam don't like to be bombarded with these type of questions when it's out of school because it makes the league look bad. So does Disney. So that's why you're not going to see Fox say anything about anything about this situation. Because of Disney. ESPN, Disney. It's all Walt Disney, baby. It's all about relationships. All of a sudden, Shannon got nothing to say. Story about LeBron come up on roids. Credible source. Shannon Sharp ain't got nothing to say. Okay. It's act like nothing. Then act like nothing when it come to anything John Morant story, anything you hear. Act like nothing. So, like I said, people, it's all about who we like and who we believe. Right? It's all about who we like and what we want to believe. Right? Let's check this out, right? Check it out.
Interviewed Derrick Rose and asked him, if 1 equals what are PEDs and 10 equals everybody's juicing, how big of an issue is illegal enhancing in your sport? In response, Rose said, 7. It's huge. I think we need a level playing field where nobody has an advantage over the next person. In my opinion, I don't think PEDs necessarily create an unlevel playing field, and here's why. All these players are making millions of dollars and they all have access to the same pharmaceuticals, and they can all pass a drug test and not get caught. In addition, they have access to doctors who can educate them and explain the risk if they decide to use hormone enhancers and EPOs. So at the end of the day, it's just up to the player and if he's willing to take the risks associated with using PEDs to take his body and his abilities to the next level. PEDs also help players extend their careers by slowing down the effects of aging and helping them recover better. I mean, how many times have you tuned in to watch your favorite team battle it out against a rival only to see that your favorite player isn't playing due to load management? So if it means that I get to see my favorite player play into his late 30s, I think that's great. I think most fans would agree as well. It's not like we want to see LBJ retire anytime soon.
I do. I want him to retire tomorrow. If he ain't gonna be out the league, I want him out the league. You understand what I'm saying? Get him out of the league. He's what's wrong with it. But here's the kicker: George Karl ain't alone. There's other coaches that agree with George Karl's assessment of the NBA is swaying too far to one side. And Magic Johnson was one that believed that. Pop, Coach Pop. And we're going to get into that situation too, because Pop one day just let it all fly. And that uh, angered Adam Silver once again because he's not sticking to the script. Now, you got a lot of people with ideas. And idea people, it's always something that they're trying to fix, but it's mostly all self centered. It's mostly all really about them and how everyone else is a character, a co star in their own uh, motion picture of hers, right? Now, in general, you're surrounding yourself with people who are the most talented, most enriching people in the world. And yet and still, these people are finding ways to keep you down, keep you confused, and wanting to make you believe this guy is in the contention of best players in the world. Now, I've seen people blame Steph Curry. Steph Curry all of a sudden got muscles. Look at Giannis. How did Giannis go from that? And look where he at. He been taking PEDs. How can Giannis jump out the gym like that? I ain't seen nobody do like Giannis do. They will say all these things about these people, right? Even Steph Curry and Giannis were two of the most searched players in the game. They're in the top five. And now Cha's ahead of them, right? There's no work being put in, right? It's just people just making that up. No, it's work being put in. You can't just do that. These guys are gonna put the work in, but with all these strengthening coaches and trainers, they're gonna give you some pills. They're supposed to be vitamins, and all of this stuff is it's got chemicals in it. You're the one that's gonna get in trouble, not them. Yep. I think that's where we'll leave it from now because we want to get that question out there. We want people asking the questions on social media. Why are you not addressing this? So if I don't see LeBron lawyers saying anything out in the press, it is what it is. But I mean, you've been called out. It ain't by me. I mean, these people are calling you out. So it's time to show approve. So, you're controlling the platform right now. So, oh, all right. I'm gonna get out of here. Shouts out to Kwame Brown Bus Life. Don't forget to follow at Kwame Brown Bus Life 2.0. And definitely don't forget to follow Ticket TV, Dreamers Pro, One Crack News, Mondo Black TV, Welcome to HD TV, Seahawks Jose Rodriguez, and I'm out, man.